this video today is actually highly requested. A lot of people want to know how to use drugstore products to achieve a makeup look. It can be done, sis. Okay, don't let nobody else tell you different. It is all about the foundation, how you do your skin prep, followed by the products. You don't need expensive products to achieve a flawless look, and that's what we're gonna focus on today. Also, it's like a two-part because a lot of people get overwhelmed with how many products us makeup artists sometimes use, and so I'm going to show you how to achieve a look with minimum products. For your actual face, I'm going to use three products, and I'm just going to add in the primer, which you don't even need primer, but some people like to just use primer, so it'll be 4 products, but in real life you could just do it with 3. So I've already washed my face and everything. This spray I'm going to use is H2O. It's just a mist. It's almost, so you want to make sure your face is nice and hydrated. Then I just press it in. Now, even if you have oily skin, you still want to do this step. Moisturize, prime. You know, we still want to have that good looking skin. Okay, so after I do that, I'm going to use this here. It's a Wet n Wild Photo Finish Rose. It's a setting primer as well. It's not really a setting spray, but it's a setting primer. It helps you get that luminous, dewy look, and it's refreshing. So I'm just, you know, making sure my face is nice and hydrated. This is a part of your, could be a part of your skincare. So technically, you would do this before you even sit down at your makeup table, wherever you do your makeup. Just make sure we get that all in there. Okay, so now for this next one, we're going to start with the products. You can use a primer. You don't need to use a primer. But for this video, I'm going to use the Rimmel Mattifying Primer. I'm not going to lie. This is really good. I had got this in an Ipsy bag when I had Ipsy, but you can purchase it at Target or Walmart. Even Ulta, I believe, but yes. So I just put it in my oily areas, which is my T-zone. Normally it is the T-zone area for most people, not uncommon. So we just prep that part. And I just press that in. I don't want to get it underneath my eyes because my eye area is already dry. So I just try to make sure I keep that down. And then I'll put it over my smile line. And bam, bam, bam. Okay, the next thing I'm going to use is the airspun setting powder. This you can get from Wally World as well, Walmart. And I like to set my primer. So I just go over where I put that primer at, just to lock it in and give it more coverage. And it helps my foundation stay all day without it worried about you getting oily and having to reset it and all that good stuff. It works for me. But again, do what works for you. I'm showing you what I like to do. You don't have to follow it. You don't. You don't even have to believe what I say. Okay, but you do. But I'm just saying. This is what I like to do. And I'm also showing you some affordable brushes. So this is Real Techniques. It's a buffing brush. So don't get stuck on the names of brushes. It'll say it's a blush brush, a foundation brush, an eyeliner brush. But sis, you can use it for whatever you want. You can use an eyeliner brush for underneath your eye, whatever you need. You know what I'm saying? It's your world. You get to do what you want. So after I do that part, I'm going to let that sit for a little bit and I'm going to do my brows. This pencil here I got from my local beauty supply store, which is 7 Mile if you are in my city, and it's called $1 billion brows. It's B BBB. I never even realized that. That's funny. So I brush my brows up and then I just line it underneath. And you can just fill in, like, honestly, where your sparse hairs is. You don't have to go and create a whole new brow. And anybody knows my how I like doing makeup. I like it very natural. So the natural thing to do is just fill in when the hair where the hairs are missing. So if you brush your hairs up, you'll be able to see, oh, I just need some, some product here, some product here. And then once you go to use your spoolie, you can even, if you don't have a spoolie on the end of your pencil, you can use a spoolie brush. Just the same thing. And I brush my front hairs up. Very natural. And I know I look crazy with this powder on. As you'll see me like do like this because I don't have an arch. So I build my arch based off, like when I go like this, that's where I know where my arch should be. But another way you can do it is go from your nose, boom. That's where your arch should be. But again, you do what works for you. I like to also make that face too because I make a lot of facial expressions. So when I go to make my faces, I don't want my brows to be looking all like this. So we gonna deal with that. The primer I'm gonna be using is the Infallible Pro Glow. It's the new one. I used to use the old formula. They just redid it. So I'm gonna just go underneath my brow. And a lot of times I don't really do this because again, I like just them to look natural. And sometimes it could just take away and, make it all sharp. And I don't want that. But for this one here, I'm going to do it because I made it a little too thick anyways. And I'm just using a flat brush to clean it up. A little flat brush. All right, so now that we got the brows done, I'm going to use this e.l.f. Clear Brow Gel. I'm going to actually show y'all this isn't really a part of the 3 products I was seeing for your face. I meant like your foundation, concealer, contour, highlight, all that. We just gonna use 4 products. Okay, so I'm gonna take the matte and poreless in the shade 310. This is a nice foundation from drugstore. It's a normal to oily skin, so it is matte, but you can make it into a dewy finish with just your skin prep and stuff. And then I'm gonna mix it with the 335 because the 310 is a little too light for me. And I like my, oh my God, y'all. I just poured out almost like the whole bottle on my hand. That's the thing though, it does not have a little, doesn't have a squeeze top. So you gotta be careful with that. So I'm just mixing this on my hand. And that's way too much, way too much. That's another thing. You don't want to use too much foundation because that can also make it look cakey. So now I'm going to just take that spray again. Spray my face. Use the Real Techniques brush. I don't know what it, I think it's like they buffing brush, but it's worn off so I can't really see it. So I just push the product into my skin. And I like to do my foundation and stuff before I do like any type of color correcting, because if you do your foundation first, you can see exactly like what you need to correct versus correcting first and just, you know, applying unnecessary product. And this foundation is a medium coverage, so you can build it up, which means you can just, you know, go back and apply more. Ew. So I'll just add another layer. And I just normally bring it underneath my neck here, my chin. I don't apply it to my neck because I match it with my, you know, my skin tone on my neck and my chest. You may not always find that one foundation shade because we have many different, you know, tones and shades in our bodies. You just tie it all together. Best thing you could do is get a concealer palette. You can get one from NYX that has different concealers because you can match, you know, mix it together um, and create shades and undertones versus, you know, buying different foundations. Like drugstore foundations are inexpensive, so you could get away with buying more than one. But I would never, like, my favorite foundation is NARS, and I would never just buy multiples of those. You will see me mixing. Okay, so now that I'm satisfied with this, I just like to go through and look at where I need to conceal. So, like my spots here, I'll just go and use this same concealer that we use for the brow. And also at this time, I will go ahead and put it underneath my eyes. And you don't need a lot because it will spread out once you get to blending. So then I'm just going to use that sponge again. My $5 beauty blender. They have, you can also use Real Techniques sponge. It's a really nice one. And then I'll just go back over it with the leftover foundation that's on my hand. Look at that glow, baby. As I'm letting this sit in, I'm going to go ahead and set the rest of my face. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to wait until I blend this out. So go ahead and blend it out on my forehead. Just let the concealer sit a little bit under your eye so it could get a little tacky and adhere to your skin. Oh, I did put this one out too because I'm out of it, and when I went to the store, they did not have my shade, so I couldn't buy it. It's the Maybelline New Instant Age Rewind Eraser Dark Circles. Circles. I can't talk. This is a good concealer to use. It has a little sponge on the top. It's like a spin cap. Let's see if anything comes out for me. Oh, it is. It is. Need a little bit more coverage there. And I'm going to put a little bit underneath my eye. This don't count as a product because you can use either or. You don't have to use both. But they're both nice. It just gives a little bit more coverage. I could have went with a little darker shade with this one here. So, yes. And I'm barely adding anything to the brush. More so just blending it. So, okay. So now that this is set, I'm going to go ahead on my nose. You just try to keep that directly in the middle. Then with the eye, you don't want to bring it too far down, but just keep it right there. And if you have darker spots on your eyes, that's when you can bring the concealer up to the side. See how beautiful that looks? Y'all, I get so excited when I do skin, like y'all do not understand, okay? So you can go back to either the airspun or Maybelline also has a setting powder. Now the setting powder for the Maybelline one is a little bit more chunky than my than the airspun, but the airspun is a little bit too too light for my liking. So I just mix these two together. I mix a lot of stuff. So I put it in the cap and I just mix it. Mix it together. Mix it together. Okay. So once I mix it together, I'll just take and make sure there's no creases before we set. And I'll use the sponge here. To just set it on there and then press it in. Now, you do not need a lot of this setting powder. What the goal is, what we're doing is just setting it, and you want to do this until you no longer see it wet, your concealer. So until you see that it's nice and dry underneath your eye, then you're good. Now, lately, I have been setting it under. It's not baking. Just this ain't baking. I set it underneath my eye, and I go to set the rest of my face where I put that concealer. I just need my under eyes to sit there a little bit longer. That's what's been working for me because my under eyes crease. So in order for it not to crease, this is what I do. I go to set the rest of my face, and then I have to let it sit on my smile line for a hot second. I don't know why I put on black, because now this powder is everywhere. Then I'll go back and push that powder in. Ooh, baby, I love your ways. And then on the side of my nose, because it gets real crease there too. Once you've done your face, a couple of times, you know what works and what doesn't work. Good tip is to make sure you use an eye primer. Now, I do not have a drugstore eye primer that I can recommend at the moment. So, but I'm gonna get close here so you can see. It's nice and smooth. Okay. And then we are going to take, so that was the foundation and concealer, 2 products.